Sacred.
It's solemn.
A wonderful tradition.
Celebrated.
It's growing.
Our 25th edition.
Scintillating.
It's brilliant.
And very much exciting.
Hopeful.
It encourages.
And community uniting.
Outstanding.
It's exceptional.
It is our very best.
Highest.
It's the pinnacle.
Above all of the rest.
We welcome you tonight
as we induct our newest members.
This video will honor them.
At Details and Remembers.
They've been so many places.
One thing in common though.
It's SID.
NEY.
We hope you enjoy the show.
Raeburn Barnes graduated from Sydney High School in 1892. Raeburn's great-grandfather and father were both named Thomas, and they fought in the Revolutionary War and Civil War respectively. Her maiden name was Epler, and her family originally moved just east of Sydney in 1815. Raeburn was born in Maplewood in 1873.
And a friend of Mrs. Barnes related that she once said Sydney was good to her, and she has a great love for the city and is concerned for the advancement of young people.
She had a short teaching career in Shelby County, but when she married Joseph Barnes in 1899, she gave up teaching.
I can tell you that she and Mr. Barnes had no children of their own, as was the custom in 1892 and later in the early 1900s. Married women didn't work outside the home, so after she married Judge Barnes, she resigned her teaching position.
Joseph was a judge, and he was also inducted into the Hall of Honor in 2003.
Judge Barnes was the local Shelby County Common Pleas Court judge. But if you know where the big courthouse is with the bell tower right in the middle of the square across from the spot, that's where he worked. After that, he was appointed to the 2nd District Court of Appeals. So he was an appellate judge from Shelby County, and the 2nd District Court of Appeals sits in Dayton, Montgomery County, Ohio.
Despite not working upon marriage, Raeburn remained active in the New Century Club, Book Club, Daughters of the American Revolution, and the Hospital Benefit Club. Raeburn survived her husband by nearly 20 years, and she herself passed away in 1964. When her will was read, all could see the tremendous foresight and care that she had put into planning beyond her time.
That upon the death of the last beneficiary, I direct my trustees to apply the rest of the residue, whatever's left, and the remainder of my estate into their hands for the following purposes: to provide a fund which shall be held, controlled, and invested to be used, both the income, that's the investment income and the interest that's paid on the money that's in, and the principal, the original gift, for the following purpose: to continue and carry into effect the provision set forth in item 15 of subparagraph so on and so forth below. And that paragraph says, to provide funds to worthy and deserving young people for the purpose of acquiring an education, as a means of defraying the, as Mrs. Barnes called it, the necessary and proper expenses incidental to attaining an education at an institution of learning, of a college or university status, or the equivalent thereof.
The Barnes Trust was first used in 1983. Since that time, more than 2,200 students have received a Barnes Trust student loan. More than $16 million have benefited students who live or graduated from a high school located in Shelby County.
I can tell you that just based upon the number of students that apply and the number of students and the amount of money that is available, that we've never turned a student down because we said they didn't need the money.
Today, the trust is overseen by 3 trustees: Thomas Watkins, Stanley Evans, and Norman Smith. Raeburn is the first member of the 1892 graduating class to be inducted into the Hall of Honor.
1, she had to have vision and some foresight. 2, she had to care about young people. And she also saw value in education. There was a book, and I think there was a movie called Pay It Forward, and that's what she's doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Raeburn E. Barnes.
Mike Kerber is a member of the graduating class of 1985. Growing up, Mike was more of a hands-on learner, and this led him to attend the Joint Vocational School where he enrolled in the Automotive Technology program.
I knew long ago I was going to be a hands-on type of guy. Back from when I was a young kid, I'd always tear things apart, put them back together, make sure they worked again. It had the program I was looking for my future, which was auto mechanics. Didn't have it here. They had a lot of good instructors down there, a lot of good equipment. It was really beneficial to me.
One of his nominators, Tom Clark, says that Mike is the poster kid for the sophomore sitting in geometry class undecided on life's plans. Upon graduation, Mike started working as a gas jockey. He eventually worked his way up through the ranks to become the top mechanic at Sydney Auto Services. In January of 2000, Mike and his wife Shannon invested their time and money in creation of Autotech.
I kind of reached the level I wasn't going to go any further. My other job, I was working at the auto repair shop here in town. I kind of peaked at what they could actually advance me to. So this opportunity came around, and the gentleman was retiring. So I went and worked with him, got a deal worked out, and got it all going in 2000.
Mike has been the owner of Autotech for the past 18 years and has seen it grow, receive awards, and also serve the community of Sydney.
A lot of tough things to overcome is the biggest thing is financial. You got to come up with a lot of money to get that business going. You got to sacrifice a lot of times. There's times when I didn't take a paycheck, make sure the employees got paychecks. Once you get established, up to where I'm at now, I kind of come as good as I please. I got a good group of guys that take care of things for me.
Along with helping the community through Autotech, Mike has also volunteered his time in many other ways. Most notably, Mike has helped with athletic programs, especially those involving baseball. Mike has served as president at Sydney Amateur Baseball Commission and has coached at various levels. Mike has helped to make significant upgrades to the baseball stadium at Sydney High School.
There's always something to do out there. I try to help out because I know that the maintenance crew is short-handed a lot of times, so they can't get out there and do the things we need to do.
Mike has continued working with Autotech, athletic programs, the JVS, and his church despite being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Although the disease sometimes limits Mike physically, it never has affected his work ethic and spirit.
Well, the biggest thing is I just have to keep moving. The doctor says we can do therapy, medicine, things like that, but nothing's better than keep on moving. I have my good days, my bad days. You never know when they're going to hit you. There's some days when I can't physically walk correctly or talk right. So it gets frustrating over the years, but this thing's got to overcome. You can't let it get you down. If you get mentally out of it, then you might as well, you're losing the battle then. The biggest thing is just keeping active, find something to do.
Mike has 3 children named Cody, Shane, and Michaela. He and his wife have lived their entire married life in Sydney.
At first, I kind of overlooked it. I didn't, for some reason, I didn't even know what the Hall of Honor was, to be honest with you. I walked by in pictures all the day and didn't ever pay attention to them. So then one day I stopped and really looked at them after I was told I was getting in there, and it kind of sank in how really meaningful that award is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Herbert.
Ardiss Luce graduated from Sydney in 1967. After graduation, she received her Bachelor of Science in Education at Bowling Green State University. She then went on to Wright State University, where she earned her Master of Education in Art in 1993.
Since my last name was Willman, and it was a W, and everybody was seated alphabetically, I was always over there by the windows. So I hid behind a football player by the name of Joe Ward. I think that teacher, Mrs. Wilson, noticed that she couldn't see me over there. So she did some rearranging, and it wasn't alphabetical. And she actually, here's her desk area, or where she stood, sat me right there, and I'm like, ugh. I always depended upon everybody else that were always sitting here to go ahead and answer the questions. I didn't have to worry about it.
After stints in North Baltimore schools, Marshfield, Massachusetts, Troy, and Russia, Ardiss returned to Sydney in 1984. In all, Ardiss taught for 30.5 years, 20.5 of which were in Sydney City Schools. She retired in 2004 from Sydney City Schools. The testimonials of support and students that she has inspired while at Sydney are seemingly endless.
My dad said, here's a plan from Bowling Green State University, and you can be a teacher, an art teacher. And if you do this, I'll help you through it. And And I said, I don't want to be a teacher. And so he said, I went away for a couple of days and came back and said, okay, I'll be a teacher, but I don't want to teach. And so when I got through it, which my dad was very good at forecasting, he knew I'd want to do it, and I loved it.
Along with teaching, Ardiss was also active as a class advisor, art club advisor, lip sync advisor, and prom advisor. Many of these titles required her to dedicate her own time in order to meet her students' needs and desires. She was heavily involved in the Muse Machine and helped make art a relevant part of students' everyday lives.
You had to earn money to have the prom, and I thought, let's make it easy. Let's do something where they lip sync it. And so it became a lip sync back in 1985. Jerry Allen, the principal, came up to me during the lip sync, and he even had to turn people away because he said, we're not having any more people coming here.
Ardiss has received many rewards throughout her career. She was Wright State's top Graduate Student Excellence Award winner in 1993. She also won the 2004 Career Achievement Award through the Sydney Education Association. These, along with many other awards, show that Ardiss was appreciated both in her time of teaching and also after her retirement. Upon retirement, Ardiss ran her family business, E&M Realty, for 12 years. During this time, she also began running her own art gallery and studio. Ardiss has been operating her own gallery for more than 20 years. She also brings art to people through her website, ardiss.org.
Ardiss has been able to do all of this while battling breast cancer.
And at 5 o'clock the next morning, a voice came and said, Ardiss, get up. It's a brand new day. 3 days after I'd been told that I had cancer, that voice came again and said, Ardiss, get up. It's a brand new day. I was literally lifted up from depression and all the anxiety that I was going through, the negativity of thinking I was going to die of breast cancer.
Ardiss has 3 children named Yuri, Austin, and Brandon. She and her husband Donald have been married for 47 years and now have 4 grandchildren.
It's just wonderful to know that I'm being honored. It's a great honor. It's like a big thank you. They acknowledge that I did do some positive things in life, and I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ardiss Willman Luce.
Richard Rediske graduated from Sydney in 1970. He was a part of the Project 60 program at Sydney and had many teachers that inspired him. However, it was a message from one of his greatest mentors, his father, that helped him lead him on to his career path.
When I was going to school, I'd always come home for the summer and we'd get a job at Copeland and we'd work in the factory and we could earn, almost as much money in the summer to pay for college. One year, there was a big recession going on and I couldn't get a summer job. And my dad said, well, you're interested in water, why don't you go to the water department? So I went to the water department and they hired me over Christmas to help set up some testing. And then they hired me the following summer to start a wastewater testing program for them.
After graduating from Sydney, Rick went on to attend Bowling Green State University and eventually to the University of Michigan, where he would earn his doctorate. His studies at these institutions helped him realize his passion of working with the environment, and in particular with clean water.
Looking at what I'm doing now, I had no idea back then what I would be doing, but I went through a really rough time in my junior year in college, and that was when they had the draft, and my draft number was 1 away from being sent to Vietnam. So I kind of sat back and said, what do I really want to do? I always like to play in the water. So I am going to make a career out of the environment.
Rick rose to the level of Senior Vice President and was in charge of 4 offices and clients that included many Fortune 500 companies.
Well, I actually worked 15 years in environmental consulting, so I was part of an engineering firm, and our claim to fame was cleaning up train wrecks. I started working in a chemistry lab and got really good at something called mass spectrometry, and then I went off into more engineering kinds of things.
He eventually took a pay cut to live a more active family life, and he started his academic career at the collegiate level. Rick has been working at Grand Valley State University as a research professor. In this position, Rick has had his work published in many professional publications. He's been recognized with several awards by professional organizations, and he has also been awarded grants totaling over $5 million.
Hidden in a dense wood, undisturbed it would appear for decades until we started digging into it.
It's pretty significant, yeah. Drums are not well thought of. It looks like it's some kind of a process waste from the tannery. So
some barrels with chunks of brown goo, perhaps he says, glue used to make shoes.
Adhesives typically have hazardous chemicals in them. So
Target 8 also showed him layers of processed animal hides buried in the side of a hill.
Yeah, so you can pull up hides as you go down. I'm still pulling up hides. I'm about 2 feet down.
Rick's passion of working with water issues has also led him to work internationally in the countries of Ghana and Haiti. His major point of emphasis in these developing countries is to deliver clean water at the household level. Rick has 2 sons named Michael and Jeremy. He and his wife Diana remain active in their community in Allendale, Michigan.
It's really an honor because when you start looking at some of the people that graduated from the school, there's a Nobel Prize winner for the NMR. There's some really outstanding people that graduated. My class of 70 has some very outstanding people. To be recognized in your hometown is really exciting. My father and mother, of course, are very important. My father passed away when he was 70, and my mother was at her 101st birthday. She's at Ohio Living.
Dear Richard, I'm so proud of you. And congratulations for the honor. It is quite a wonderful thing happening. The best of all to you and your family. Congratulate you, Richard, and love you to pieces.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richard R. Rediske.
In the 25th year of inducting our best,
we stop for a moment and embark on a quest.
To appreciate this group so full of perfection.
Such amazing people with one common connection.
You all went through Sydney at some point in your ride.
You helped to define the Yellow Jacket Pride.
You inspire current students to work hard every day.
To focus on your dreams and push obstacles away.
Prior to the speeches and before you conferred,
we'd like to don each of you a solitary word.
It won't do you justice. It's an attempt to be witty.
In an effort to describe what you've meant to this city. First up, Ardiss Luce. We give the word mold, both in shaping young children and creations you sold. In every part of your life, back from the very start, you painted us a picture to appreciate art.
To Rick Rediske, the word pure is best, to describe both your heart and the water you test. From Sydney to the border to that state up north, we appreciate your care and your effort set forth.
The late Raeburn Barnes, we say the word provide. Through teaching and trust, you were forever a guide. The people you've helped, all those lives to enhance. Because of your care, so many had a chance.
To Mr. Mike Herbert, the word support we stress through Autotech, sports, and the JVS. The people you've helped and the things you've done. In baseball terms, you're a walk-off home run. You all make us happy, bring a smile to our face.
The 4 of you have brought us together in this place. As we look to the future and remember the past.
It's such a wide net that Sydney has cast.
From Adams to Zimfer to Russell and Hall.
Slagle and Blackford, and that can be all.
Add 3 living members and 1 up in heaven.
Bring the Hall of Honor total to 127.
Herbert, Barnes, Rediske, and Luce. You impress, you instill, you give us an excuse. To look at those plaques, to stare and relive.
And to think of what this school has been able to give.
You're all Yellow Jackets, and that makes us so proud. Welcome to the stage, come look out at the crowd. Everyone cheer, clap your hands, set the scene. It's the Hall of Honor class of 2018.